We're back.
We are. Did you turn your notifications off?
They're off. Oh, God.
Sorry, I had to. Funny. What are we doing? Tell us what we're doing right now.
I wanted to show this second to last one here. UVC control. CTLR. Whatever.
You know.
UVC. I don't even know what it's called. UVC control. I just call it UVC control.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, here's what I wanted. I wanted a way to use my external Logitech USB webcam that does 1920 by 1080, beautiful, high res, full color. But the only problem is, if you really want to do motion detection well, you need to have manual control over your camera. You have to set it to manual exposure mode, manual white balance, manual focus, manual everything, because the technique only really works well when you can accurately assume that any motion in the image has to do with motion in the scene and not your camera changing its aperture or something like that, right? So you need manual control. I used to do this with my black and white security camera that had no automatic controls. You had to manually control everything. And I would go into an analog video into a DV converter and then into Max, and that was great. That's a little bulky these days, right? You need a bunch of gear. It's much easier to have a single USB webcam, but how do you get that manual control? So I searched everywhere, high and low, and I could only find a thing. Actually, it works really well, though. So I'll launch the browser here, and it's this totally crazy, I don't even know what it is, some weird website, dm9.se, so I don't know, was that Sweden or something? It's somebody in Sweden in 2009, 2012, made this thing for USB webcams, including the iSight, and it just happens to work. So I found this, I downloaded the zip. It's a pretty janky application. There's no real, it's got a pretty basic UI, but you launch the application. What happens is you don't see anything happen. I was a little confused by it until you look up in your menu bar, and then you have this UVC control thing in your menu bar. And when you click on that, you can say refresh cams, and it looks for all the cameras. I have my webcams, my Logitech C920 plugged in right now, so I do that, and all of a sudden you just get these settings, and some of them says not supported. A lot of it's not supported, but what you can do with my camera in particular is you can go to manual mode and you can change the exposure. So let's turn on the camera here and see how that works. So I'm going to open my camera, but at first I have to hit this get dev list and this get input list, and let's hide that browser. So I'll switch to my webcam, my Logitech C920, which is, like, by the way, absurdly inexpensive on Amazon. It's like, do you remember how much?
I don't, but I recently bought some Logitechs that were similar for
like $20 or something.
25 each or something.
Yeah, really basic, but high res and pretty nice. So I'll do HD webcam 920, turn on my Metro, and why are we not? Oh, I have to hit open. Okay, so there we are. Is this the camera? Yeah, that's the camera. We're getting 19. There's the
mic right in front of my face.
So we're getting 1920 by 1080. We're getting decent frame rates, but that can't be right. They must be duplicate frames. I don't know. Whatever. And I have anyway. It's coming in at 1920 by 1080. But here it's I have control over the webcam, so I can manually change the exposure.
Hey, look at that.
And it's really stable. So if I put my hand up here, it's not changing the exposure value. It's really actually manual. And you can also change the focus.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's
we have artsy and blurry.
Manual focus and manual exposure. This is very
exciting. Huge. It's huge.
It's very exciting. So you can stay permanently focused on something that's close, or you can always be sort of having the exposure that you want. That's the frame rate has gone visibly down, but
right.
So we have our manual control, and this is pretty exciting because this means that you can do a lot better, more accurate motion detection using the frame differencing system.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera will work without it, but this just makes it so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, it works kind of without it, but this works better. So, and there's a lot of other reasons you might want to have manual control over the camera. When we get later on, when we get into like face tracking and blob
Optical,
tracking,
like,
optical flow, things like that.
Yeah.
But that's, several screencasts away from now. All right, we'll stop.